Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Talk with Coach. I'm your host, Becca Goldsberry, Elite Sales and Leadership Coach with Southwestern Consulting. This podcast is all about learning from the best in the business, those who have walked the walk and are ready to share their journeys, lessons, and hard-earned wisdom. We're about to discover some invaluable tips that could transform your business or leadership journey. So buckle up and get ready for another episode of Talk with Coach. I am very excited to introduce today's guest, Rae Cartee. We have actually had the pleasure of connecting through a really good friend, Katie Hanner. I met Katie, and Rae, I don't know if I told you this. So I met Katie through a coaching client of mine, Ashley Shaw. And Katie was on her team, there at Aflac. And I have just, Katie and I would just get together for lunch. And then when she asked me to be her sub for BNI, I met Rae, and Rae and I have become friends. And so much so that Rae and I get to collaborate and share referrals, help each other grow business. About every other month through a mastermind phenomenal group of women that I have a chance to collaborate with. And I just can't wait for Rae to share her expertise with you all. Rae is a district director for Crossroads of America Council, BSA, soon to be called Scouting America. She is a mom of two boys who are 13 and 16, a wife of Zach, a doer of all things, and project manager extraordinaire. And I didn't get to meet Zach at BNI because you were subbing for him, if I remember
That's
correct,
right.
Rae. Yeah. She loves the outdoors, singing in the church choir and reading. What I love most about Rae is her ability to accept people with open arms, make them feel welcome, and she has a huge heart to serve her community. So Rae, welcome to Talk with Coach. I'm so excited to have you on.
Thank you. I'm super excited to be here. And I think um, it's interesting. I've been reading a new book called Membership, and it's all
Ooh.
about membership organizations. But I just read some about the shift in generations. And right now, a lot of people are looking for places where they belong and where they can contribute value. And I
Ooh.
that really resonated with me. So it was an interesting moment to share with you.
I love that. Okay, so how did you find out about this book?
Well, a wonderful friend of mine named Liv, who I used to work with, works for, she's in a different job now, and she's working with membership. She has two big clients and is helping them build their membership. And so we talk all the time because I'm also working on growing scouting membership with youth and recruiting adults to join the fun and help make all the fun happen for the kids. And she said, "Hey, I came across this book and it just had some really great insight." And I picked it up and I started reading it. And then I mentioned it to a couple other colleagues and a couple volunteers who are working with me on some big projects to close out the year. And now we have a group chat and we're highlighting things and sharing screenshots. And it's fascinating because membership doesn't have a college degree that goes with it,
Mm.
or there's there is absolutely a membership industry, but the
Yes.
degrees that you get, most people don't wake up and say, boy, I want to go work for an organization and help recruit people to join them. People come into this from sales or from a nonprofit background, and you could get degrees in nonprofit management, you can get degrees in marketing and sales and communications, but there's not a formal degree that goes with membership. So there's not a wide body of best practices and training necessarily.
You are actually spot on. I'm thinking of it because, I'm part of the junior league here in Indianapolis, right? Membership organization.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know, and I'm sure you did, but did you know Indianapolis is like headquarters for most of the sororities and fraternities in the country? Like Indianapolis is becoming a hub for membership organizations.
I knew there were lots and lots up on the north side, but I didn't know that it was like most of them in the nation. I just knew that there were a lot. That's amazing.
There's a lot of them. And the only reason why I know this is because some of the members in junior league with me work for the sororities and the fraternities. And they're just like, no, Indianapolis is becoming a hotbed because of the support they get from the state, right? So
Indiana's
Indiana's
a great place
very
to
friendly for
start business.
organizations.
hmm Yeah, yeah. And Indianapolis has a lot to offer. I think it's one of the hidden gems of the Midwest. Really,
I do too. Shh, don't tell anybody. I don't want to get too big, I kind of like the size that we're at.
it's pretty fantastic, and the
It is.
cost of living is good. There, we could go on, but we're gonna just keep that's our secret.
That's our secret. Yep, that's right. Because I don't have to pay those crazy taxes
hmm
and real estate prices like the people in Nashville and Chicago and everybody else pays. So mum's the word.
You know,
So
Greenwood, Indiana has the lowest property taxes for a city of our size. It's where I
that's
live.
right.
Just saying.
Just saying, we're good peeps down here on the south
Yep.
side. Rae, how did you get involved? How did you start with the Boy Scouts? Like, how did you get started with scouting? Like, what is your journey there?
Well, I started out as air quotes just a scout mom. Um, my husband was in scouts when he was younger, and we went to a church where there was an active pack, an active troop, and we were friends with people who had kids who were involved. And so we just said, when our oldest is able to join, when he hits first grade, then we'll sign him up and we'll just start having all the fun too. And we've always loved camping and outdoor adventure. um, Fun fact, we went to the upper peninsula of Michigan and had our honeymoon in a rustic cabin. And we canoed and we hiked and wore head nets to ward off the mosquitoes and everything. So the love of outdoor adventure did not start for us with scouting. It was a natural fit. But along the way, I became an engaged Cub Scout mom, going to all the things and helping out where needed, wrangling our younger son, who was a toddler at the time. But he had his little t shirt that said Little Scout Buddy on it, and he called it his mine uniform. And if we were going to go to a Cub Scout meeting, he'd say, "No, gotta put on my uniform." And so he would put on his uniform shirt. He was so little, he outgrew one. We had to get another. Um, and then my husband became the committee chair for our Cub Scout pack. So he was helping organize and do paperwork and make sure all the planning was in place and helping recruit adult leaders to fill positions. And so we were just having lots and lots of fun doing all the Cub Scout things. And then Lucas, our youngest, was a couple years away from being able to join Scouts. And our national organization started a new program for kindergartners. And so he was able to join as a kindergartner, and he was beyond excited. He really literally thinks he's been a scout since he was 3 years old,
I love
which
it.
is like almost his whole life. And I had told my husband when Lucas was old enough to join, I would become an official volunteer and be his den leader. And so that happened a year before I had really planned for it to, but we just jumped right in. And I got to be Lucas's den leader for 6 years. And there's a group of kids that I met when they were in kindergarten, and now they are seventh graders. Technically, one's an eighth grader because he's so smart he skipped a grade of school.
Wow.
Um, but they're all
Genius.
right. He's incredibly smart, and I've known him since he was the teeniest, tiniest little kindergartner. And I don't think he actually spoke and said an entire sentence of words for 2 years to me because he was so shy and he was brilliant, but he wasn't going to talk a whole ton.
Mm,
And now he's a seventh grader and he's taking leadership roles in his troop and volunteers to be in charge of things. He helped plan our camp out last weekend, including contacting the state park online to make reservations for our campsite, and
Wow.
and helping organize the hiking and the plans and all the stuff. So it's this incredible relationship I've gotten to have with this group of kids that I met as kindergartners, and I've gotten to watch them develop and grow and see where they are now. I get to imagine what they're going to do to change the world for the better all along the rest of their journey, which is super exciting. But back to the question at hand, I was an engaged den leader, chugging right along. In 2018, our national organization started allowing girls to join Cub Scouts. And I was thrilled and delighted because it was way, way past time. That should have happened a long, long time ago. But you know what? The time is always right to do what is right. So
Yeah.
we did that, and we started having girls join our pack. And then we had a fifth grade girl join our pack. And we all started talking about when kids are in fifth grade, they graduate from Cub Scouts and they move into the next program, which is Scouts BSA. That program used to be called Boy Scouts, but when girls can join, it should be something that welcomes everyone and lets them belong from the name
Yeah.
down. And so we, as a adult volunteer group, started asking a lot of questions. How can we make sure that this fifth grade girl's journey can continue when she graduates from Cub Scouts? And there were a series of fireside chats where our council's executive leadership team came out into the community, and of course we were really engaged in the topic. So we went to the fireside chat, and I introduced myself to the executive group. I worked in the financial services industry, and I knew some of them through that. And I thought, oh, we just want to put a face with the name and say hello, and just told them how excited I was. And I think my words were something like, as the mom of two boys, I am thrilled now that I can talk with all of my friends and invite their entire family to join Scouts and truly tell them this is the best, most fun thing you can do as a family, and not have to say, well, except for your girls, because they can't really officially join, and they can attend and they can do things, but they can't actually earn any of the awards or the advancement. I can legitimately tell everybody and genuinely invite all my friends. Um, and evidently that is what they were listening for, because I got recruited to come work for the Scouts, and I was recruited into a leadership role. I was leading a team. I was the director of family scouting, and family scouting is the name that we gave to really making an active outreach to young women and girls and their families to make sure they knew they were welcome to join Scouts. If they had joined Scouts, to provide customer service, to help train leaders on mostly that girls join Scouts to do all the same things that boys join Scouts to do. You don't have to run different programs. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't need to
Right.
add extra crafts or any gender specific things. They joined because they want to know how to build fires, and they want to camp in tents, and they want to learn how to use pocket knives safely, and they want to participate in range and target activities. It's all the same top reasons the boys join. But we were reaching out to leadership to provide training and provide customer service all along the way. And literally, we were the team that created new Scouts BSA troops for girls who were in fifth grade to graduate into. And that was such an incredible experience. I had two other brilliant women on my team in 2019, and we recruited over 250 young women to start those initial
Wow.
Scouts BSA troops, because in the middle school range, leadership skills develop differently if you're in single gender or mixed gender settings. So in the middle school years in the Scouts BSA program, girls are in troops for girls and boys are in troops for boys. And if you think about what we know about how middle schoolers mature at different rates based on their
That's
gender,
right.
it makes a lot of sense. As the
Hmm.
mom of a 13-year-old, I can tell you it is so true.
Yep. And I will even say, with Thad being 6 and looking at the boys in kindergarten, in his kindergarten class versus the girls, oh, there's still big differences, even
Yeah.
at that young of an age.
Yeah. And in Cub Scouts, they're really co-ed. They can
Hmm.
all be in the same den. The leadership skills, even though maturity levels may be different, leadership skills develop at about the same rate, whether they're in single gender or mixed gender settings, um, which is fascinating. And I didn't know until I was in this job and started asking, why are we co-ed here and why are we single gender
Right.
here? But it was such an amazing journey. And then in 2020, after an incredible year in 2019, in 2020, of course, COVID came with it, all the challenges. And we as a council reorganized, we let staff go, we moved people into different teams,
Hmm.
we trimmed extra teams and brought everybody down to just core focus. So I remained and moved into a regular geographic district role,
Okay.
and and here I am.
I love it. What a phenomenal story. And I guess I didn't even realize girls can go into Cub Scouts now. Had no
Yeah.
clue. I didn't even think, even, talking with you, I think I even realized that. So, what an amazing program. For you as a district director, what are some of the obstacles or challenges that you guys face as an organization to keep growing in today's society?
Interesting, because that ties right back to the book that I'm reading right now. But there are significant societal and cultural changes that we're experiencing generationally. So the idea of joining something because it's expected is really not aligned with our current cultural expectations. People, I'm a Gen Xer, and Gen X is kind of the generation that started changing that
We
approach.
we did. We
And
did.
and we're, now some of us are in senior leadership, but we have multiple generations in leadership. Right now in scouting, we have 5 active generations
Hmm.
volunteering, working professionally, and not even in our youth membership. So there are all kinds of um, potential conflicts, really, when you look at it.
Hmm.
And there's got to be a shift from, well, that's how we've always done it, and
Hmm.
the back in my day mentality,
Yeah.
to families today are looking for help in these areas. I can talk all day to parents about why you should sign your kids up for scouting. And if all I'm talking about is teaching them to uh, canoe and tie knots and camp in tents, most parents today do not wake up and say, you know what, I really hope my kids learn today is I really hope they learn how to tie a bowline knot and paddle a canoe. That would be really good. What
Right.
parents today wake up in the morning and say, because I'm one of them and I do this, I really hope that my kids make choices all day to do their work and be responsible and be kind to others and help and be good friends. And it's really interesting because the Scout Law talks about being courteous and kind and trustworthy and loyal and helpful and friendly and a whole bunch of other things. And we wake up in the morning and we think, I hope my kid doesn't get triggered today. I hope my kid has the mental toughness
Hmm.
to take constructive criticism from their teacher. or the mental toughness to have a kid say mean things about their friend, but still make the right choice to help their friend in a healthy, kind way and to keep going. And scouting teaches all those things. But what we've, always done is talk about the fun and the adventures and not talk enough right now, I think, about the things that parents like me are looking for their kids. So we have to shift the language that we're using, and we have to really focus on meeting our friends and our current members and our potential new members where they are and how we can provide social experiences in a safe environment, unplugging from our devices, getting completely off of social media.
So good. And you mentioned something as well, as because you mentioned you're working with 5 different generations.
Mm-hmm.
That is the exact thing so many companies and organizations are struggling with. Like, how does a leader lead somebody in the boomer generation or while being a Gen X, but then also lead a millennial and a Gen Y? Like, and how do I do these? Because everybody thinks differently, the generations act differently, and you know this. Those who are coming from the golden age, right? The
Mm-hmm.
golden years, they call them now, like the good, those who fought in like World War II, they want a phone call.
Right,
The
right,
baby boomers, they also want a phone call and an email. Gen Xers text us. And you'll catch the millennials in their social media, and definitely the high schoolers and younger, you'll probably catch them in Snapchat. I mean, like literally, how do you
right,
communicate the same message to all of these different
right,
generations?
right. And we have a website, we have Facebook, we
Hmm.
have text messages, we have phone calls, and we have our council's doing an experiment. We're trying a new tool called the Hub, and so we have information on the Hub, and then I have in my phone at least 5 or 6 different group messaging platforms because different groups that I'm helping lead all have different ones. I have GroupMe and Band and Discord and Slack and Google Chat. And I know there's at least one that I'm forgetting. Oh, WhatsApp. I have that
Yep.
too. Um, and it just depends on who's in the group and what thing they're using. And sometimes we talk about, well, I don't think we should post all the same content on all the same channels. But you know what? If we want to get the content to all the people, we really do have to post all the same content on all of the different places. We have
Right.
to email everybody and post it in Facebook and share it on our personal Facebook and post it in the Hub and text message links out and then make phone calls to tell everybody.
Yes. It's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot for so many organizations. So, how are you guys, or what do you want the general public to know about Boy Scouts of America? Right, we're changing to Scouting America in
Right.
February. What do you want? What is it? Because there's so many things. Everybody's got preconceived notions.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want everybody to know about the Boy Scouts?
So I think first, it is truly a place for everybody. There's the Cub Scout motto, and Cub Scouts is from kindergarten to 5th grade. The Cub Scout motto is do your best. And truly, the aim of the program is to have our leaders each do their best
Mm,
and to teach each Cub Scout to do their best. And, my best varies from day to day. Your
yeah.
best varies from day to day. It's
Hmm.
all there are what we call requirements. It's the curriculum. Every single kid isn't going to be able to do every single item of the required curriculum. But did they do their best? If they did their best, then we need to say, yes, they did that.
Mm-hmm.
Every kid can excel at Cub Scouts if they do their best. There are no grades. We don't record, we don't kick people out because they've been absent. It's the whole school year. We meet about once a week. So some kids take the soccer season off and they play soccer, and their families keep track of what they need to do,
Yeah.
and they do their best. So it's a place where every kid can absolutely belong and absolutely excel, regardless of their abilities, right?
Yep.
And then when they graduate from Cub Scouts, and fun fact, there are some humans who only develop to an elementary school age, regardless of their biological age. And those wonderful people can remain Cub Scouts for their whole life. We have to file a couple extra pieces of paper, but we
Mm.
have some wonderful groups that have people who are 40, 50, but didn't develop past an elementary school place, and they're still Cub Scouts and they are still having a great time
Oh,
doing their
how
best
awesome.
every week.
Love it.
But then when you move into Scouts BSA, that is a self-paced, self-determined protocol. The curriculum does need to be met. If there are things that someone has challenges that they can't accomplish, like there are some kids who are physically not able to do a 5 mile hike,
Mm-hmm.
then we have protocols where we can adjust that so that it is doable and achievable, and it will be a stretch and they have to work hard, but they can do it. And all the requirements are written that way, and we have those allowances. But um, the kids in the program get their book and they get their curriculum, and they can determine when they do things and if they do things. In order to get completion, they have to do the thing, and then they have to ask one of their adult leaders to sign it off. And so there's a built-in expectation that you learn how to have um, good, healthy communications, how to actually talk to people, how to ask, how to use the resources you have available. And there's so much opportunity within that framework where a youth can kind of pick their own path and choose their own
Mm-hmm.
adventure. And then all the planning in that program, it's a youth led and adult guided program. So there's so much potential where, like I mentioned earlier, the boy from my den who's now
Yeah.
an 8th grader made a reservation for a campsite at a state park. And that happens every week in our program all over the place. We have kids who are calling the library to arrange a tour. We have kids who are reaching out to engineers to ask them if they'll come speak to their group and teach them about engineering. There are 139 merit badges right now, and they're all a different subject, so the kids can really sample lots of different careers. They can sample lots of different learning. There's so much overlap between that and the curriculum that we're teaching them in the public schools. It's so much more than canoeing and tying knots
Right.
and having campfires, although doing those things helps you learn how
Absolutely.
to keep trying and talk to people and do your best. And it teaches you that sometimes you can't control how choppy the water is, and you're going to fall out of your canoe. And you get to choose what you do after you fall out of your canoe.
That's right. And I have done that before, and
Mm-hmm.
it's
It
okay, but
happens in
you
life. The
learn.
water gets choppy. We fall out of our canoes.
That's right. I love it. And I know you absolutely love your job,
I do.
Rae. What do you love most about it?
Oh boy. I know deep in my soul that the job I'm doing offers young people opportunities to change their own lives for the better.
Mhm.
And I've gotten to work here long enough that I've gotten to see kids grow from kindergartners to seventh and eighth graders. I've gotten to see young people go from being 12 years old and super awkward middle schoolers to graduating high school and getting incredible scholarship offers because of all the learning and developing they've done.
Mhm.
But I've gotten to see young people do projects that truly do change the world for the better in ways that will cause positive ripples for the rest of time. And that, like,
I love that.
it's maybe a little bit Pollyanna, maybe a little bit optimistic, but that's how I'm made and who I am. And and I see the good that Cub Scouts does and that Scouts BSA does. And there are other programs too for even older kids, but I see that kids become more cheerful and they become more helpful and they think about how to prepare for things and they stop saying, "Oh, that always happens to me." And they say, "You know
Mm.
what? Sometimes these things happen. I know what to do. I know who to ask for help."
Well, and to me, that would be one of the reasons why adults should volunteer with Scouting America.
Yeah.
Especially, even if they weren't scouts as youth, right? I mean, because what an impact they can have on those kids' lives. Like,
Yeah.
I think I told you the story. My mom was my brownie leader,
Yeah.
like for years, and like absolutely loved it. And she always thought it was, she still talks about it today. She goes, it is the coolest thing when you see one of the kids learn new skills and how to adapt and how to problem solve. She goes, you just become so proud.
Yes. I think some of my favorite memories are taking my den to summer camp.
Hmm.
And when they were, like probably second, third grade. And sometimes you go do obstacle courses, and we had a couple kids who were not super excited about being one story up in the
Hmm.
air on like a giant playground thing. And the way down was a rope ladder, like super safe, well tested, very sturdy. They did not feel good about climbing down that rope ladder because it wiggled and it jiggled and they didn't like it.
Right?
But with their friends right next to them, encouraging them, and their friends on the ground encouraging them, they decide to try. And they eventually, slowly, carefully do make it down, shaking and quaking. But when
Yeah,
they get to the bottom, the glow and the pride, and like that's life changing stuff.
it is.
The knowing deep inside you, I can do scary things. I can do hard things. I can be brave. And I
Mhm.
tell parents, you got to go to summer camp because you literally see bravery happen in your kids. And we need more of that.
So good. And it's true because what are all the skills? Think about all the skills that they're learning
Hmm.
that they're getting a glimpse of it, maybe at school, but not fully.
Right. And in school, in large groups, is
Yeah.
hard. It's
Mhm.
hard to always have an opportunity to try your best. It's
Mhm.
hard to be heard. And God
Mhm.
bless our teachers and God bless our school administrators.
Amen.
It's a hard job.
Yeah.
But everything in scouting is broken into small groups where, ideally your small group is like 5, 6, 8 kids
Hmm.
with 2 adult leaders. So you really can have opportunities to have individual leadership and attention
Yeah.
and get more one-on-one instruction, which is where tremendous learning happens. Scouting also really offers good opportunities for all the different learning styles. And as much as
Absolutely.
possible in scouting, we try to keep them from, we don't want the kids to be sitting still doing desk work, being
Mm-mm.
busy or talked to. We want them to be up and active and moving around and able to engage in learning in loud, exciting, messy, energetic ways.
Well, that's the fun ways too.
I
Like,
know,
let's
right?
be real. Like, let's
Number
just get
one rule is have
messy. I
fun.
know. It's funny. My husband, he's the one that panics. Like, if dad makes like a super big mess, doing art projects, I'm like, it'll be okay. He's like, what? And I was like, it'll be fine. We just clean up. Like, it's good
Right.
for
That's what
him.
we do.
Yeah, it's what we do. So I know in December here, we've got the governor's lunch here in Indianapolis.
Yes.
Super excited to attend for the first time. Share a little bit with us about the governor's lunch, the importance of it, and then hopefully those who are here in Indianapolis next year they can join.
Absolutely. So every year for the last 29 years, this is the 29th Governor's Luncheon for Scouting. In Indianapolis, we have held a wonderful luncheon, and the governor has been the keynote speaker. It's one of the really important things every governor, regardless of political affiliation, has done. Um, Usually, we have 1,500 to 2,000 wonderful guests in the audience. The last few years and this year included, we will be on the field at Lucas Oil Stadium, which is an incredible experience in and of itself to walk out onto the field of Lucas Oil and be in that incredible space. And the Colts have been wonderful hosts for us. We have a Scout Expo. We take over one of the sidelines in the stadium and have roughly 100 kids, Cub Scouts and Scouts BSA and venture crew members. Um, and they put on expos. So we have different activity stations all along the sideline. There will be a Pinewood Derby and a rain gutter regatta and model campsites.
Oh,
There will be a
fun.
station on flag folding and flag etiquette, which we need we need more refreshers on that.
Yep.
There'll be a station teaching about how we use axes safely. So we call it an axe yard, but it'll be like roped off, and you can see scouts actually doing preparations for making fire. They will not make fire in Lucas Oil, no open flames, but we have a wonderful color guard. All the youth that are there get to be part of the opening flag ceremony. And then a fantastic lineup of speakers, a couple incredible youth, and I have to put a tissue in my pocket day of because I'm probably going to get a little teary eyed
Yeah.
as those youth are recognized. Um, the governor will make a fantastic keynote address, and the big important thing about the governor's luncheon for scouting, it is our big annual fundraiser. So we are hopeful to raise a significant portion of our 2025 budget at the governor's luncheon for scouting on December 18th. So there is a fundraising ask, and everybody there has an opportunity to make or renew their annual pledges to help scouting be strong, because scouting is a business, and without money a
Yeah.
business cannot operate the way the business needs to operate.
Absolutely.
Because yeah, budgets are just pluses and minuses, so we've got to get a lot of pluses in at the fundraiser. um, and next year's governor's luncheon date will be announced once we know what the Colts schedule is.
Yeah. I was gonna say, don't we always have to play around what the football
Right. We
schedule
have to
looks like?
wait a little while until we know what dates are available. Usually the second or third week of December.
Okay.
Um, it'll be at noon on one of those days.
There you go.
Probably
Everybody.
not a Friday.
Yep. So we'll probably know, what is that? March, April, the schedules typically come out.
Yep. It's usually March, April, and then I think often our date gets announced in May.
Okay.
But it varies a little bit, and I'm not on the team that directly handles that. So they know a little bit before I know.
Right.
But then
Fun.
we send out all the save the dates, and yeah, it's this year is very exciting. I can promise you a delicious salad and a ridiculously good dessert.
What else do you need? Dessert? I mean,
The
you just
dessert
need
is
really good
always
dessert.
ridiculously good, and the salad is quite good. Uh,
I love it.
fun tidbit of knowledge: the executive chef for the catering company at Lucas Oil Stadium is an
Mhm.
Eagle Scout. So,
Really?
uh-huh. Our
That,
executive chef planning our lunch is an Eagle Scout, which is pretty fantastic.
that's phenomenal. I love it. Well, Rae, thank you so much for
Oh,
hopping on,
thank you.
sharing more about your passion for the Scouts, why we all need to be involved, and especially if we've got littles who it would be a good fit for,
Mhm.
and to help them grow in their leadership skill sets and so much more confidence and all those things. So thank you so much for being on. I appreciate you, and I'm so glad we are partners in crime, my friend.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. I did think about this. We
Yeah.
should mention if anybody has littles that they would like to find a scouting group for, they can go to www.join, Join, scouts, SCOUTS, and then capital IN for Indiana.org. So joinscoutsin.org is where you can learn more and sign
Perfect.
up.
I love it. Well, thank you, friend. And everybody, this wraps up another insightful episode of Talk with Coach. A huge thanks to Rae for hopping on, sharing valuable knowledge and lessons of her incredible journey. If today's episode resonated with you, or if you have a burning question or topic you'd like for us to discuss in the future, I'd love to hear from you. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast on YouTube, Spotify, or wherever you listen. Until next time, remember every step forward is a part of your success story. Keep striving for greatness, keep learning, and don't forget your journey is just beginning. Have a great day, everyone.